All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. So today we're going to be tackling this idea that might just totally change the way you think about getting good at English.
Really?
Yeah. You ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Okay. So it's all about taming this sneaky thing called perfectionism.
Interesting.
Yeah. We're going to be exploring all the surprising ways that it can, totally mess with your language learning.
Okay.
And even better, how to actually turn those perfectionist tendencies, those things that make you, want to be so perfect, how to turn those into a secret weapon.
A secret weapon, huh? That sounds pretty powerful.
It is. We'll uncover how perfectionism can actually backfire when you're trying to master a language.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of been there, right? You get stuck because you're so afraid of messing up.
Totally. It's you want to sound exactly like a native speaker right from the start.
Right, and that can be so intimidating.
For sure. And then you end up not even trying.
Exactly, and that's the opposite of what you need to do.
Yeah, how can you get better if you don't even try?
You can't. You got to practice. You got to make those mistakes.
Okay, so we've established that perfectionism can be a bit of a roadblock.
Definitely.
But what's fascinating is there are actually different types of perfectionism.
Oh, really?
Yeah, our source material breaks down 3 main types, and understanding these can be a real game changer.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's break it down.
Okay, so what's the first one? What's the first type of perfectionism?
Well, the first one is what they call self-oriented perfectionism.
Self-oriented.
Yeah. It's that inner critic we all have, that voice that sets these crazy high standards.
Oh, I know that voice.
Right. It's always whispering in your ear not good enough.
Oof, I felt that.
It's telling you need to sound like a BBC newsreader before you can even order a coffee.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. It's come on, I just want to order a latte.
Exactly. And that kind of pressure can make you terrified to even open your mouth.
Totally. It's like stage fright, but for everyday conversations.
Right. Okay, so that's self-oriented. What about the second type?
Okay, second type, lay it on me.
All right, this one is called other-oriented perfectionism.
Other-oriented?
Yeah, this is where you're kind of holding everyone else to your own crazy high standards.
Okay, I think I get it.
Imagine you're always comparing yourself to that friend who seems to just pick up languages like that.
Oh, I know that friend. They make it look so easy.
Right, and you're over here feeling inadequate because you're not learning at warp speed.
Yeah, that can be super discouraging.
Exactly, and that's classic other-oriented perfectionism.
Okay, so we've got the self-critic and the comparison game. What's the third type?
All right, the third one is called socially prescribed perfectionism.
Socially prescribed.
Interesting. It's that pressure you feel from, society.
Everyone's expecting you to be perfect.
Exactly, your family, maybe even your own internal expectations about what it means to be good at a language.
I guess it's feeling like you have to speak perfectly, no accent, no mistakes.
Yeah, and that's a ridiculously high bar, right?
Way too high. No one starts out speaking perfectly.
Right. It takes time and effort.
So I'm sensing a theme here. All 3 of these types of perfectionism sound like they can make learning English, which is already hard, feel even more overwhelming.
You got it. And it doesn't stop there. This whole perfectionism pressure cooker, it doesn't just hurt your confidence.
It actually affects your learning, too.
Exactly. It can have some pretty serious consequences.
Oh, no. What are we talking about here?
Well, it looks different for everyone, but some common patterns are putting things off forever, being afraid to speak, and even just giving up.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Yeah, it is. Think about it. If you're terrified of making a mistake, are you really going to practice speaking?
Probably not. Which means you're missing out on actually getting better.
Right. And if you keep saying, I'll start tomorrow when I'm more prepared, when does that actually happen?
Never. You end up stuck in this cycle of procrastination.
And the irony is, being so afraid of messing up actually stops you from being your best.
That's kind of a mind-blowing thought, isn't it?
It is. It's you're so scared of falling off a bike, you never actually learn to ride it.
Okay, so how do we escape this perfectionism trap? Is there any hope?
There is. Our source material is packed with strategies to deal with these tendencies and actually use them to your advantage.
Okay, so, how do we do that? How do we turn perfectionism into a good thing?
One key is to challenge those unrealistic expectations. We ought to realize that mastering a language takes time, and it's okay to not be perfect right away.
Yeah, it's not like you magically wake up fluent one morning.
Right. So instead of aiming for that impossible overnight fluency, what's a goal that actually makes sense? What do you really want to do with your English?
Yeah, is it to travel? To talk to friends? To watch movies without subtitles.
Exactly. Figure out your why, then break that big goal into smaller, more manageable steps.
So for a traveler, maybe the first step is learning phrases for airports and hotels.
Exactly. It's all about taking those small, consistent steps that'll build your confidence over time.
I think it's also important to, remember that language learning should be fun.
Absolutely. When you're too focused on being perfect, you miss out on the joy of discovery.
And the satisfaction of connecting with others.
Yes. And that brings us to another important strategy. Being kind to yourself.
Oh, you mean like self-compassion?
Exactly. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give a friend learning something new.
So instead of beating myself up over a mispronounced word, I can just say, hey, I'm still learning. It's okay.
Yes, everyone makes mistakes, especially when learning a new language. It's part of the process.
This makes me think of that growth mindset idea. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, they're opportunities to learn.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective from, I messed up, I'm bad at this, to, I'm learning from this, I'll do better next time.
I love that. So instead of fearing mistakes, we can actually look forward to them as chances to improve.
You got it. And that brings us to another powerful concept, embracing the idea of good enough.
Good enough. What does that even mean in terms of language learning?
It means realizing that sometimes just getting your message across is more important than perfect grammar.
Oh, I see. It's like prioritizing understanding over being super fancy with your words.
Precisely. Fluency isn't about being flawless, it's about connecting with others.
So it's like you wouldn't expect a chef to make every dish a masterpiece.
Yes.
Sometimes a simple meal is enough.
Perfect analogy. Sometimes just being able to order a coffee or ask for directions, that's a win.
Totally. Celebrating those small wins is another way to overcome perfectionism.
Absolutely. Shifting your focus from what you haven't done to what you have accomplished.
So instead of stressing about that one grammar rule, I can celebrate being able to hold a conversation.
Exactly. Remember, every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal.
This is so encouraging. You don't have to be perfect to make progress in English.
Not at all. In fact, embracing imperfection might be the key to unlocking your full potential as a learner.
I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners today.
I agree. You don't have to be perfect to make progress. And actually, embracing those imperfections, well, that might just be the secret ingredient to unlocking your full potential.
Love it. And on that note, we'll take a quick break and come back with more tips on how to actually put these strategies into action.
Sounds good. Can't wait. It's all about shifting your perspective, focusing on the journey, not just the destination.
Okay, I like that. So how do we actually put these strategies into practice? Give us the goods.
All right. One super helpful tip is to break those big, scary goals down, Make them into smaller, bite-sized pieces.
Smaller chunks, yeah.
Exactly. Instead of freaking out about becoming fluent, focus on something you can actually do.
Something more realistic, right?
Right. Maybe you could say, this week, I'm going to learn 5 new words every day.
5 words a day, I can do that.
Or, I'm going to watch 1 English TV show episode without subtitles.
Oh, that's a good one. I love watching shows.
See, it's all about setting yourself up for success with goals you can actually achieve.
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't try to climb Mount Everest in one go, right?
Exactly. You break it down into smaller climbs, base camp to base camp.
And you celebrate each little win along the way.
Exactly. Those little wins, those moments of progress, that's what keeps you going.
Okay, so we've got our smaller goals. But what about when we mess up, Because we all do.
We do. But here's the thing. We can turn those oops moments into aha moments.
How do we do that?
Get curious. Instead of getting mad at yourself, ask, why did I make that mistake? What can I learn from it?
So it's like investigating your own mistake.
Exactly. Maybe you mispronounced a word or used the wrong tense. There's always a reason.
And figuring out that reason helps you actually understand the language better.
You got it. It also makes those mistakes less scary.
Less like failures, more like learning experiences.
Exactly. Which brings us back to self-compassion, being kind to yourself.
Oh yeah, remembering that everyone makes mistakes.
Especially when learning something new. The more you practice, the better you'll get.
Yeah, you got to put yourself out there, even if you're not 100% sure.
Think of it like taking the training wheels off a bike. It's a little wobbly at first.
But then, you're riding. You're free.
And you know what? Sometimes you'll even surprise yourself with how well you do.
Oh, I've totally had that. I just went for it, even though I was nervous, and it worked.
That's awesome. Those moments of courage, those are where the magic happens.
You realize that making mistakes isn't the end of the world.
It's part of the process. And the more you accept that, the less power those mistakes have over you.
Like you're disarming a bomb, but the bomb is your own self-doubt.
Love that analogy. And as you get more comfy with mistakes, you'll see them as just part of learning.
You won't get discouraged so easily.
Exactly. You'll be more motivated to keep going.
It's like a positive feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
The more you embrace being imperfect, the more you learn and grow.
And the more confident you become. And remember, mastering English isn't a race.
It's not about getting to the finish line first.
It's a journey, a lifelong adventure. There's always something new to learn.
And the best part is, you don't need to be perfect to enjoy it.
In fact, embracing those imperfections might be the secret sauce to unlocking your full potential.
I think that's a powerful message for our listeners.
I agree. So what do you think? What's one small, imperfect step our listeners can take today to move forward with their English?
Yeah, what's something manageable, even if it's just for a few minutes?
It could be reading an article, watching a video, or even just saying a few phrases out loud.
Just take action, even if it's small.
Remember, every little step counts.
It's like those drops of water that eventually create a canyon, right?
That beautiful image. Consistency and persistence. That's the key.
So listeners, choose one small action you can take today, something that feels achievable.
We're rooting for you. You got this.
And don't forget to share your imperfect step with us on social media. Use the hashtag #DeepDiveEnglish.
We want to hear what you're working on.
We're all in this together, right? The more we support each other, the more we'll all succeed.
Speaking of support, have you thought about finding a community of other English learners?
Oh yeah, like a group where you can practice and encourage each other.
Exactly. It can make a huge difference.
Turns language learning from a solo mission into a team effort.
There are so many options, both online and offline.
Like what? Where can people find these communities?
Well, online, there are apps like HelloTalk or Tandem for language exchange.
Oh yeah, those are great for finding partners to practice with.
And there are tons of Facebook groups dedicated to learning English.
Tons. You can find groups for any level and interest.
And offline, you can look for language cafes or conversation clubs.
I love language cafes. They're so relaxed and fun.
Or you could even start your own study group with friends.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for the perfect community. You can create your own.
Exactly. Reach out, start conversations, build those connections.
It's all about being proactive and finding people who are on the same journey.
And as you do that, as you immerse yourself in the language, you'll start to notice something amazing.
What's that?
You'll start thinking in English more naturally. You'll dream in English.
Whoa, really? That's wild.
It is. You'll find yourself using English effortlessly without even thinking about it.
It's like that moment when you're riding a bike and you suddenly realize you're not even thinking about pedaling anymore.
Perfect analogy. You're just flowing, enjoying the ride.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? To use English naturally and confidently.
Exactly. To communicate, connect, and express yourself with ease.
That's what we call fluency, baby. It's not about perfection. It's about being comfortable with the language.
Using it to reach your goals and connect with the world.
And the more you do that, the less those perfectionist tendencies will hold you back.
It's like your brain finally gets it. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not have the perfect word every time.
It's about being yourself and enjoying the process.
The real world becomes your language lab, where you can experiment and play.
And discover your own unique voice.
People connect with authenticity, with the real you.
More than with some perfect, polished version.
Those moments of connection, those are what make language learning so rewarding.
It's about bridging cultures, building relationships, expanding your world.
So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for our listeners. What's one small, imperfect step you can take today to move forward?
Anything, even something small, like watching a 5-minute English video.
Or listening to a song with the lyrics in front of you.
Or chatting with an English-speaking friend.
Just take action with curiosity, playfulness, and kindness towards yourself.
Every step, every mistake, every aha moment brings you closer.
So go out there, embrace the journey. Remember, progress over perfection.
You are capable of amazing things.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep embracing the adventure of mastering English.
That's a wrap, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time for another exciting exploration. And you know what's cool? The more you actually use English, like in real life, the less you'll even worry about being perfect.
It's like those perfectionist tendencies. They just kind of fade away.
It's like your brain finally realizes, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not sound like a textbook all the time.
You start to see that real communication, that's what matters.
Yeah, like people care more about connecting with you as a person.
Exactly. They want to see the real you, not some perfect robot.
It's those genuine moments, those laughs and shared understanding. That's what makes language learning so cool.
Absolutely. It's about bridging cultures, building relationships, seeing the world in a new way.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive today, let's leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, I like that.
What's one small, imperfect step you can take today, right now, to move forward with your English?
Doesn't have to be anything huge, right?
Nope. It could be as simple as watching a 5-minute English video on YouTube.
Or listening to your favorite song, but this time with the lyrics in front of you.
Or maybe just having a quick chat with an English-speaking friend.
Just take that step, no matter how small, and be kind to yourself while you're doing it.
Every step, every mistake, every aha moment, it's all progress.
So go for it. Embrace the journey. Remember, progress over perfection.
You can do amazing things. We believe in you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep embracing the adventure of mastering English.
That's it for today, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
Perfectionism. Part of speech. Noun. Meaning: the tendency to set unrealistically high standards or to demand flawlessness in oneself or others. Example: Sarah's perfectionism made her rewrite the essay 5 times, even though the first draft was excellent. Intimidating. Part of speech. Adjective. Meaning: making someone feel nervous, frightened, or less confident, often due to the perceived difficulty or power of the person or situation. Example: speaking in front of a large audience can be intimidating for people who aren't used to public speaking. Fright. Part of speech. Noun. Meaning: a sudden feeling of fear or panic, often triggered by an unexpected or alarming situation. Example: the loud thunder gave her a fright as she was walking alone in the park. Inadequate. Part of speech. Adjective. Meaning: not enough or not good enough to meet a certain standard or requirement. Example: he felt inadequate during the group discussion because he hadn't prepared as much as the others.